Hi everybody. So today we're going to look at triggers that cause delay of healing and of topical steroid withdrawal. Um, so a little introduction. I'm in Bangkok in Thailand and I'm here to receive the treatment with a cap called plasma device. And this is a treatment that already exists for over 15 years. The device, the cap called plasma, has been developed in Thailand and has been designed by Dr. Changchai Chuchideva and has been used for patients with topical steroid withdrawal with great success. So my intention is to make a separate video in which I can tell you everything about this treatment, what cold plasma is, what its action on the human skin is, what to expect with the treatment, where you can do it, what the costs are, etc., etc. So I'm here with Jay. Jay runs the clinic in Thailand, and he has already 15 years of experience with treating topical steroid withdrawal patients. He is a wealth of information on topical steroid withdrawal. I'm really amazed by his knowledge. He has a medical background. His wife is a doctor, and his father-in-law is the person who designed the machine, the cap called plasma, and they worked very closely together to fine-tuning this machine, especially for people with topical steroid withdrawal. So Jay has built up enormous amount of knowledge through study and observation, and he really loves it when his knowledge and experience is shared with the world and with the topical steroid withdrawal community. So this is what I'm trying to do. Capturing everything and making these videos, and hopefully it can help many people on their healing journey. But today it's about triggers that cause delay of healing of topical steroid withdrawal. I think this is a very important subject I never really heard about. I did notice myself that my skin got so sensitive that I was triggered by a lot of things that I never used to react to before. But it was never on my mind that this was a very important topic and not really talked about. At least when I did all my search on topical steroid withdrawal, I didn't encounter this in a very clear format or package. So that is what we're going to do today. So the rate of healing depends on avoiding these triggers as much as you can. And these triggers are important in all phases of topical steroid withdrawal. So in my previous video, I've explained everything about the different phases you go through during the healing process. Now, in the phase number 1, this is the phase, what I call the hell phase, where you get worse and worse and worse and worse until your deepest point. Also in this phase, the triggers are super important to avoid. But you can't see them yet on the skin. You can't observe it very well yet because your skin is super red, super thin, super inflamed. So you don't see the difference on your skin since it's all the time red. You take away the topical steroid creams, so suddenly the skin gets super inflamed. It doesn't have any more these creams that calm down the immune response and that calm down the inflammation, so your skin is red all over. But also in this phase, the triggers are super important to avoid, and depends your rate of healing, and depends also how long this time is of the first phase. So if somebody stops using the creams and starts his journey into topical steroid withdrawal in a very old house with a carpet and maybe a sofa with a fabric that's been there a long time, and as you know, sofas with fabrics take up a lot of dust. So this person starts their journey here, they're gonna have a really long healing time, and this until they reach their deepest point is gonna be probably much longer than 4 to 8 weeks. And this is with all the other triggers as well. Try to avoid them as much as possible from the start. Now in later phases, so this is in phase 2 and phase 3, etc., you can much easier observe when you are triggered, because you are healing, your skin is already getting better, your skin is maybe even sometimes looks almost completely normal again, and then suddenly you get a flare up. So then you know there was a trigger. So then in those phases, it's easier to observe and it's easier to do some deep detective work and find out what triggered your skin. So let's go to category 1. So in this category, there is stress, not enough sleep, alcohol use, illness, for the ladies, the menses and pregnancy, change of the season, and I put in brackets lack of daylight. So most people have noticed easy enough that when they get stressed or not enough sleep, sometimes even one night, you can really tell the difference. And also alcohol, they flare up. So these are things that are to be avoided. Sometimes with stress, you really have to think creatively and see if you can reach out and help and ask for help around you, sometimes professional help or from friends or family. It's super important that you stay very calm in your mind and work, and sometimes you have to do some work on the mindset, and this will help your healing. With the sleep, it's also like Dr. Sato says, and also Jay says this as well, to please sleep between 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. So these are the most important hours for a healing of your skin. I know that many of us suffer from enormous insomnia, and this is a big challenge. So when I started my journey, I knew that it was super important to sleep, also for the skin to heal. So I chose to use sleeping aids. So you have many herbal ones, and also you could go to the doctor for sleeping aids. Yeah, and to see if you can really sleep those hours between 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. in the morning. Well, alcohol, just don't do it. Illness, yeah, I hope there is not in your process another illness going on. If there is, take as much self-care as you can. Like really um, be as caring and loving to yourself as you can. The same counts for these other ones, for the menses, the pregnancies, and the change of the season. The more self-care you give yourself, and the more also you take in account that these are happening. So for example, for the change of season, you can maybe put it in your agenda already, that you know in front that this is going to happen, and that you can already start making your agenda more empty, making sure you have more time for yourself, make sure that you start sleeping longer. And when the season change comes, so for me it's always half September when I flare up. But if I start taking into account somewhere in August already, then the flare up is less severe. And this I also notice for the menses. So if I take much more self-care about 10 days before my menstruation start, it's much smoother. So I put here also lack of daylight, but in brackets, because if you have lack of daylight, you won't flare like with the others can do, but it does delay the rate of the healing of your skin, because our skin needs infrared and near infrared rays, and we need daylight. We also need daylight for a healthy circadian rhythm. So yeah, we know that some people get completely bedbound. So the advice is to try to even if it's just sitting outside in a chair, to come outside and to make sure you have daylight and infrared light. It's not sitting in the sun, because sun is not good for skin with topical steroid withdrawal, especially in the early phases, but daylight is super important. And my intention is to make a separate video on daylight as well. Okay, then we can go to category 2. So these are things that we try to do to get rid of the itchiness. So this is scratching and rubbing and hitting and squeezing and etc. So what happens here is that you open up your skin again by scratching or rubbing or hitting or squeezing. You can observe it yourself very closely, and it's good to know something about the different phases of wound healing. So I intend to make a separate video of that as well. But what is for now good to know is that when your wound is in this, or when you're scratching a lot and your skin needs to concentrate on closing the little wounds and getting rid of pathogens, and this is the first two phases of wound healing, then it cannot put its energy in healing, in making more new skin cells and in thickening the skin again. So in wound healing phase number 3 and 4 is the healing stages, where you will have skin cell proliferation again and remodeling. But when you keep going into a cycle where the skin has put all its energy and attention in closing wounds and getting rid of pathogens, then it can't really heal really well. It can't do cell proliferation as much as it could do if you don't scratch. So the delay, so the rate of your healing time will be delayed. So I will talk about this in a separate video, and I also want to add here not to put too much stress or guilt around scratching, because it's part of the journey and it happens. But if you see that there is a patch of skin or a certain area that you scratch so deep and so hard that you observe yourself that you're in a vicious cycle and this spot does not heal, not even after weeks or after months, then you know this is something to look at and to take into account, and to also research deeper what is going on in that part. Because it can also be that there, for example, is an infection, or that especially on that part you encounter an irritant all the time, or an allergen, etc. So I will also do a separate video on types of itchiness and what you might be able to do about itchiness. Okay, then we go through to the third category of triggers that can cause delay of healing of topical steroid withdrawal. Now the first one is allergens. So usually this one is not the most problematic because many people know what they are allergic to. Also, the reaction to an allergen is quite fast. So you will notice the symptoms or the flare up within no time, sometimes in minutes and other times in hours. So then you know, okay, I can't do this and I have to avoid this. It might be that you don't know your allergens yet, or that you know some but not all of them yet. When you go through topical steroid withdrawal, you have to try to learn them by observing, by really getting to know your skin and observing. You kind of have to become your own flare-up detective. Because it doesn't make much sense to do an allergen test or a patch test during topical steroid withdrawal, because everything will flare up. So you can't really see what are your allergens. So then we go to the irritants, and this is actually a big topic because this is very, very much overlooked. And this is overlooked because these are things that you never reacted to before. So before you went into topical steroid withdrawal, these irritants were no problem at all for your skin. And also for normal, healthy people, no problem at all. So this is why they get overlooked. But during topical steroid withdrawal, your skin is super open, it's super thin, it's delicate, it's fragile, so you can react to a lot more things than you ever did before. So we can classify the irritants in 3 classes: in a high irritant level, middle irritant level, and low level. And we can also classify them in things that you touch with your skin and things that are in the air. So high-level irritants. So these are very strong and also are irritating for a normal healthy skin. So these are things like very strong, heavy cleaning detergents. They sometimes have these for toilets, for example, and you notice that you cannot even breathe. You feel the irritation. So if you would put that even on a normal healthy skin and leave it there for a minute or a couple of hours, the skin will start having irritation. Other examples are some types of very chemical glue, some types of paint, when something is very acidic with chemicals, for example, or others, for example, like bleach. They are highly irritating for our skin. Now, everybody knows about these ones, so these we probably all avoid. So these are easy to avoid. Then we go to the middle level of irritants. Now, these examples from this category are, for example, the normal floor detergents, glue smell, glue chemical in the air, from paint in chemicals in the air. For example, when you're renovating your home, it can be the chemicals that come from the printer that's in your home or at your office. It can be chemicals that's put on a new couch. And when you buy a new couch, there are usually chemicals on them so that they don't stain very quickly. It can be washing detergent for your clothes or for the dishes. It can be dust. It can be hairs and skin from pets, from animals. It can be chemicals used on new clothing when you buy new clothing. When they are in the air, it will irritate your skin and the rate of the healing of topical steroid will be delayed. But when you touch the middle class, when they are in contact with your skin, and this happens on a day-to-day basis, just the same as the high ones, topical steroid withdrawal cannot heal at all because the skin is irritated over and over and over again, so it stays in inflammation all the time and it can't put its energy in cell proliferation and healing. When you have in the air a middle class irritant around you or a low one, the skin can heal. Topical steroid withdrawal can heal, but it's just a lot slower. So then we go to the lowest class of irritants, and these are things like perfumes, air refresheners, perfumes used in moisturizers or other beauty products. It can be that you react to synthetic fibers that you never reacted to before, or wool. It can be that you react to feathers that is used in blankets or the cushions. So these are low-level irritants, and a lot of people have no idea that they are reacting to them because it was never in their mindset. It was never in their scope that this could be even an irritant, because before topical steroid withdrawal, there was never a reaction to any of these. So this is super important to take in account. So the irritants that you never thought about before, but also all the other categories of triggers that delay your healing. In a category 3, the third one is infections. So it can be a viral infection or a bacterial infection or a fungal infection. Now, this is talking about infection, I think, is a really big and important topic. So I will make a separate video of this also. It's highly underestimated in topical steroid withdrawal. I see many people that got the wrong advice online and they leave their infection and it gets worse and worse, and even some people end up in hospitals. So this is very sad. Your skin is super open and delicate, and infections are really very common. So I'll spend a separate video on this as well. So I hope this gave you more insight and that you can start researching yourself what happens in your case, and become a good flare-up detective, and that it helps your healing rate. So if you can and want to, you could support me for $1 or for some treatment time. I just created a GoFundMe. Making these videos is costing me a lot of my time, and I get a lot of questions. So I spend at least 2 or something 3 hours per day on answering questions and also making this material. So I love to do this for free, and I love to keep on going. But it would be great to receive some support. If I can stay a bit longer in Thailand and I can learn more from Jay and I can make more videos. Okay, thank you very much, and please like and share and subscribe. It helps other people to find this channel as well. Yeah, I wish everybody the best in their healing journey. Much love. Ciao, ciao.